Fair use. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowances made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statutes that might otherwise be infringing.
If you're a fan of eerie tales, then you need to watch this. From ghostly whispers in Charleston's alleys to the elusive lizard man of Scape Ore Swamp, we uncover the creepiest myths and legends of South Carolina. Subscribe now and explore the secrets that lie beneath.
There's a quiet spirit that settles over the South Carolina low country as dusk lays its hand on these rolling fields and old farm roads. Folks here take pride in their families, their stories, and the places where generations have grown up together. One such place was the community surrounding a small wooden building known simply as Cleveland School, just 6 miles southeast of Camden, South Carolina. Cleveland School wasn't grand by any means. She was a humble frame building constructed in the early 1900s on land donated by the Chestnut family. Folks around here would have called it homegrown, built with sawmill timber and lit by oil lamps at night. There were classrooms downstairs, 2 to be exact, where boys and girls of all ages learned their letters and sums. And above them all, on the 2nd floor, an auditorium where the whole community gathered on special evenings. That school served nearly every grade under one roof, a place where parents, grandparents, teachers, and children shared joys, struggles, and the quiet ritual of small-town life. Rare was the evening when the lights glowed up in those windows and the doors swung open for some celebration. By the spring of 1923, Cleveland School was set to retire. Newer, larger schools were coming, and the old building was to be closed at the end of the academic year. But that final night of school was to be a milestone, celebrated with graduation ceremonies, followed by a community play performed by the school's own children. May in South Carolina brings long evenings and warm breezes. On May 17, 1923, families from across Kershaw County packed the auditorium upstairs for the graduation festivities. Grades 1 through 12 had been taught in that wooden schoolhouse that year, and nearly every relative and neighbor you could imagine had come to watch their child step forward, diploma in hand. After diplomas were handed out, more than 300 people remained for the final event, a short play called Miss Topsy-Turvy, sometimes remembered as Topsy-Turvey. People filled every seat, stood by the walls, and perched on the edges of door frames, eager to see the children perform. The room was only 40 feet long and 20 feet wide, far too small for such a crowd. Yet no one seemed to mind. There was no electric light in those parts yet. Nighttime events were lit by oil lamps hung from hooks near the stage. Their flicker was warm and charming, but in hindsight, it was dangerous. Those lamps clung to the dim corners of room like beacons, lighting up faces and costumes alike. Now, listen close, because this is where hearts grew silent and the night changed forever. It was near 9 o'clock as the final act of the play was beginning. Folks leaned forward in anticipation, proud parents smiling, young eyes watching every move on the makeshift stage. Without warning, and without much sound at first, something fell. An oil lamp, one of those lights hanging close to the stage, came loose from its wire hook. The heat had slowly weakened that wire, and before anyone could say a word, it dropped. Oil poured over the wooden floorboards of the stage, and within seconds, fire had kissed those dry boards and caught the cotton curtains. At first, the flames were small, but oh, how quickly they grew. A group of men in the audience ripped off their coats, pressing them against the flames, trying to beat back the blaze. For a moment, it looked like maybe they might succeed. But the fire leapt from the stage curtains to the ceiling beams, fed by the dry wood and the cloth, and spread like a creature alive. Panic rippled through the crowd. The laughter and applause of the play felt distant now, replaced by screams and shouts for the exit. But there was only one way out, down that narrow stairway leading to the first floor. I want you to picture that auditorium, packed beyond capacity, breathing heavy with hope and expectation. Now imagine that same room filled with flame, smoke, and fear. That's the scene they faced. People rushed toward the small doorway that led to the staircase, a single exit originally built to serve 30 or 40, not 300. Mothers clutched children by the hand, young men pushed ahead, and teachers called for calm that none could muster. Because the doorway was so narrow, folks couldn't squeeze through fast enough. Bodies piled up, one against the other. Some couldn't breathe. Others were trampled before they even reached the stairs. And then, heartbreak of heartbreaks, the wooden stairway, already strained under the weight of hurried bodies, gave way. It collapsed into the first floor. Those above fell with it, some badly wounded, others killed instantly, as the floorboards splintered and broke. Smoke thickened everywhere. Heat pushed the crowd toward the windows. Some leapt, some were lifted and thrown to the ground 15 or 20 feet below. Others, trapped by panic and rising flame, could not escape at all. Men came running from outside, women screaming names. Some who managed to get out turned back into the inferno, desperate to find a child, a wife, a brother. But there was little they could do. The fire was too furious, the smoke too overwhelming. Within 1 hour, Cleveland School was gone, just charred timbers and ashes where learning had once lived. In the aftermath, there was hardly a dry eye in Kershaw County. 77 souls had perished in that fire. Mothers, fathers, children, neighbors, friends. Among them were 41 children, taken in an instant, their bright futures extinguished in a matter of minutes. Only about 1/4 of those who died could be identified by their loved ones. Entire families were wiped out, leaving no one to claim the remains of their own. So, in an extraordinary act of sorrow and solidarity, the unclaimed bodies were laid to rest together in a single mass grave at Beulah Methodist Church Cemetery, just a stone's throw from where the tragedy unfolded. Those that were identified were taken by kin for private burial, but for dozens we'll never know their names, though their memory lives on in the hearts of this place and those who walk this land. And hear this, among the dead was the father of a future governor of South Carolina, John C. West. His loss reminds us that even those who later shaped our state were rooted in heartbreak, just like the rest of us. In the days and weeks that followed, Camden and the surrounding communities were swallowed by grief. There were funeral services attended by thousands. Some estimates say as many as 5,000 people gathered on that hill at Beulah Cemetery to pay respects. Newspapers across the state carried the news of the tragedy. Across South Carolina and the entire nation, people asked, how could this have happened? Could it happen again? Those questions didn't go unanswered for long. Out of that smoke and sorrow came an awakening a push for fire safety laws that would change buildings and schools forever. Before this night, many assembly spaces had limited exits, no fire drills, no codes requiring flame-resistant materials or adequate egress. But the Cleveland school fire exposed how dangerously unprepared we were. Firefighters and lawmakers took up the cause. Spearheaded by fire service leaders and communities alike, legislation began requiring wider stairways, more exits, doors that opened outward, fire escapes, flame-retardant materials, and mandated fire drills in schools. So many of the safety measures we take for granted today, from exit doors to prescribed capacity limits, were influenced by the lessons learned on that terrible May night.
Today you can visit the site where Cleveland School once stood. A monument stands as a somber testimony, inscribed with names of those lost and a reminder of the lives that flickered out in 18 minutes of flame. Another memorial mark sits near the mass grave, honoring those whose identities were never known. Each year around May 17th, descendants and community members gather. They place flowers. They read names. They tell stories passed down through generations. And with every telling, the memory grows. No longer just a tragedy of the past, but a reminder of the value of fire safety, community, and human life. From the quiet fields around Camden, let us never forget those souls, men, women, and children, who left this world too soon. May their memory live in our hearts, and in every schoolroom exit sign, every fire drill bell, and every law that keeps children safe in public places.
If you don't like the dark but still crave a thrill, then delve into South Carolina's eerie past with us. Subscribe to South Carolina Secrets and uncover the legends lurking in the night. Have a story that chills you to the bone. Comment below with your haunting tales and what secrets we should unveil next, if you dare.